So with the high prices of NH movements these days, I've been looking into alternative options, and that has led me to today's build, the Miyota Quartz Chronograph OS00 movement. What is up everyone, I'm Jason from jb.watchmods, and today I'll be recreating the IWC Top Gun watch at a fraction of the cost. So to do this, I'll be using a range of parts all sourced from AliExpress. So let's take a look at what we're going to be using. First up is our case. Now this is a real big boys case, coming in at 45mm. I actually think it's the largest watch I've ever built. Now it's got a lug-to-lug of 55.7mm and a thickness of 14.2mm. Now at this size, this watch is definitely not for the faint of heart. I would have loved to get it in a black case, but unfortunately for this movement, there aren't really that many parts options available yet. So a stainless steel case will do for now. Now this is the dial that we're using. And to fit this huge case, we need a huge dial, and this one is 37.7mm. And I've gone for it in a black to match that Top Gun theme that we're going for. I've also put my logo on the dial just above the day-date windows, and if you want to see how I do this, I have a full video over on my Patreon page, which I'll leave a link for in the description below. Now we're going to be using a simple black and white handset with a red running seconds hand, and it's also got a red plane at the end of our large second hand. Now I've picked a really nice black canvas nylon strap and paired it nicely with a stainless steel clasp to match that case. And lastly, here is the heart of the watch, the Miyota OS00 Quartz Chronograph movement. Now it's a battery powered quartz chronograph and has a running seconds hand at 6, a 12-hour timer at 9 and a 60-minute timer at 12, and has a battery life of around 5 years. Not too bad. Now I'm really looking forward to this build as it's a movement that I've never used before, so let's dive in and see how we go. Okay, so here is our Miyota OS00 movement and our massive dial, which comes in at 37.7mm. So this dial has two dial feet on the back side of the dial, which are a press fit into the movement, making this dial really quick and easy to fit to our movement. Once our dial's correctly aligned on our movement, we can press it down and make sure that it's sitting flush all the way around the movement. To line the dial up, I use that date window and line it up with the crown stem that is fitted in the movement. So we need a way to control our movement while we are setting our hands. So we're going to grab the crown from our case and fit it to the crown stem that's fitted in the movement. So first I'll loosely screw on the crown to the crown stem just to make it easier to pull out this crown. Now I'll grab a small screwdriver and use it to pull out this crown stem. Now to do that, there is a small button on the back side of the movement which needs to be depressed while pulling out that crown. Then I'll use my side cutters to lightly grip that crown stem so I can tighten up this crown. And back into the movement the crown goes, so we can use it to control the movement and get the time to 12 AM so we can set the hands accordingly. And to do that on this movement, we need to pull the crown all the way out and rotate that crown anti-clockwise until we see that date wheel start to change. Just like so. Now we know we're at 12 AM and we can set our hands. And first up is our hour hand. Now obviously, as the movement is at 12 AM, we're going to set our hand pointing at the 12 o'clock position. Now this is a massive dial, like I mentioned earlier, coming in at 37.7mm. So that means that the handset is also massive. So it could be a good option if you're starting out, as everything is larger than normal, making it a little bit easier to see what you're doing. So now I'll just double check to make sure that that hand is sitting flush before fitting our minute hand. And as with our hour hand, we will set this directly at the 12 o'clock position just so we get that date changing when the time hits 12 AM. Now one thing that I like about this movement is that the posts are made of metal, Now that means that they are going to be harder to break, which is great if you're just learning how to set your hands. Now the posts are what the hands actually attach to. Now some movements use plastic posts, which makes the movements cheaper, but they can be easier to break, which isn't ideal if you're just starting out. So that is a big tick for this movement, especially for beginners. So now that we have our hour hand and minute hand fitted to our movement, we're going to rotate the movement over 2 times just so we can get that date wheel to change over and make sure that we've fitted everything in the correct position. So our date is changing about 10 minutes past 12 o'clock, which is absolutely within spec for this movement. So now let's move on to our chronograph. And before we set our hands, we're going to reset the chronograph just so that when we do set our hands, we know that everything will be in the correct position. But let's do our running second hand first, which is the subdial at the 6 o'clock position. And once I get that second hand pushed on, you can see it ticking away there as it should. Now you should probably pull that crown out first, just so the second hand isn't ticking while you're fitting the hand. But now let's move on to our first chronograph hand, which is the subdial at 9 o'clock. Now this is a 60-minute timer for the chronograph. And because we've just reset that chronograph, we'll set this hand to the 12 o'clock position. And the last of our subdials at the 12 o'clock position is a 12-hour counter for the chronograph. Now pay close attention to how I put this hand on, as I'll have some issues with this a bit later. Now at the time of doing this, I thought it was all good, so I move on to our last hand, which is the large seconds hand for the chronograph. Now this hand also ends up giving me a lot of trouble. I press it on at what looks like exactly 12 o'clock, but for whatever reason I cannot get it to line up perfectly after the fact. Now this is the first chronograph movement I've done where the large second hand moves freely and doesn't lock into a certain position. Now as you can see here, the hand looks like it's at the 59 second mark and it jumps around from 59 seconds to the 1 second mark, but doesn't ever land back at that 12 o'clock position. It also ticks slightly off the second mark, which makes me think that I've pushed it on just slightly off 12 o'clock. And when I reset the chronograph, it goes back to that 59 second position. Very frustrating. But I'm going to leave it for now because I know if I try to remove this hand, there's a good chance that I'm going to damage something. And I don't have any spare parts with me for this build. So that would mean another 2 to 3 week wait for the parts. So for now, let's move on to the next step, which is removing the crown stem. And like I mentioned earlier, we do this by pressing the small button on the back side of the movement, and I use my ring finger to pop that crown out. Then we can grab our case and prepare it to accept our movement and dial. Now let's remove our caseback and this movement spacer. Then we can grab our air blower and lens pen and get this crystal nice and clean. Once we're happy that everything is spotless and there's no dust on the dial, we can grab our movement spacer and pop it over our movement. Now this just helps keep our movement nice and secure when it's fitted in the case. The spacer is just a press fit and sits snugly over that movement. Then we can grab our case and put everything together. And I must say, it's looking surprisingly good here. But let's keep moving and flip this watch over and make sure that that movement spacer is seated correctly in the case. So now we can move on to fitting our crown stem, and let's do our first trial fit and see how it's looking. Now at this stage it looks like it's about 4 to 5 millimeters too long, so we're going to pull this crown out and cut 4 to 5 mil off the crown stem and try it again to see how it is looking. Now I'm feeling pretty confident that I've cut the right amount off this crown stem, so I'm going to apply some Loctite to the threads now just to make sure that this crown doesn't come loose unintentionally. And just be sure to clean off any Loctite from the crown stem before fitting it back into the movement. Now let's fit this back into the movement and see how it looks. Fingers crossed we don't need to pull it back out. And when testing your crown stem, you want to be able to pull the crown out so it selects all positions and screw it down all the way so it sits flush against the case. And it looks like we've just about nailed it on this first attempt. So now let's move on to our next step, which is fitting our caseback and caseback gasket. Now this design has the caseback gasket fitted to a groove in the caseback itself, so we'll remove our gasket and before assembling everything we'll pop it into some silicone grease just to lubricate that gasket and make sure that it doesn't pinch when we're reassembling everything. With our caseback gasket reinstalled, we can fit our case back to the case and screw it down nice and tightly for what is hopefully the last time. And if you're curious about any of the parts or tools that I'm using in this build, I'll leave everything linked in the video description below. And now we can move on to the last step, which is fitting our watch strap. Now, as you can see here, this case has 2 holes on each lug for the watch strap to be fitted. Now, I've never seen this on any case, so I'm not really sure as to the reason, but I'm going to fit our straps as close to the case as possible. This just minimizes the gap between the case and the strap, and I always think that having a small gap there looks better. But now we have this watch finally completed, so let's flip this watch over and see the final results. Hang on, before I show you these B-roll shots, let me explain what has happened. So, as I was about to film my final shots for this watch, I'd noticed that the subdial hand at the 12 o'clock position had fallen off. Now, if you go back afterwards and have a look when I was pressing this hand on, I think I may have accidentally pressed the hand between the dial and the post that it was supposed to be sitting on. So as soon as I moved this watch about, that hand fell straight off. So from there, I pulled the watch back apart to reset that subdial hand. And while I was at it, I thought I would attempt to fix the large chronograph second hand. Now this was where things all went wrong. Now I didn't film this because I thought it was going to be a quick fix, but I tried to pry that second hand back off so I could repress it on in the correct position. But what I ended up doing was breaking the pinion that that second hand sits on. So now the watch is basically only good for spare parts. Not my day today. So I ended up just sitting that second hand back on using a bit of rotor coat to hold the second hand in place, just so I could get some final shots and show you guys what it could look like if you did a better job than I did today. So let's run the B-roll and see how this watch turned out in the end. And that is going to do it for today's build. An absolute disaster, but sometimes these things just happen. Today just was not my day. Anyway, if you've enjoyed the video, gotten anything out of it at all, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you all in the next video.